with the overall. On a scale 1 to 10, where does this movie lie? Somewhere for me between an 8.5 and a 9.
Complete collapse of Ben Shapiro has been achieved. Not only, based on his channel, based on his morals, he has bent the knee to Christopher Nolan once again because deep down, a lot of these people are failed theater kids. Classics, maybe the classicist of classics, the Iliad. So a lot of people had opinions, I suppose. The older the works, the more prestigious the works, the higher the bar it is set. Yeah, the OG classic, right? The original, the original classic. Even though I do have a degree in English literature, I'm not going to pretend like I remember a lot of Homer's Odyssey. No, I read it. It was one of those things in the pile of stuff that you read in like Arts 1 where you're just like, cool. It's not really doing what it clearly has done for so many different periods. I don't know. One of those things where maybe it was really, really impactful for other people, and I was just not at the right place at the right time when I read it. But one of those things where when I read the interpretation or the analysis of it by other writers, I was like, oh, I see. And then, yeah, obviously, I mean, you're talking about something that was written so long ago, and really as a reflection both of the period in which it was written, and also the style, and also the history overlapping with the mythology, to produce something known as verisimilitude. I'm trying to remember all the arguments that I've been hearing over the last little while for people who got so mad about this. So if you've been living under a rock, this movie being one of the biggest films of the summer, and obviously being one of the biggest and most audacious auteurs of our generation, the GOATs, Christopher Nolan, one of the greatest, mainstream filmmakers working today, a man who just has such an undisputed track record, like one of those people where it's like when you put all of them and you stack them all up there, and it's not even, the Dark Knight trilogy or the ones that he would do in between them, the Prestiges, or even the old classic independent films that were still really well done, like Memento, that, you still watch in film school to this day to be able to show people, hey, you can actually tell a really intriguing story without an unbelievably high budget, as long as you have some kind of weird mathematician's brain that combines all these kind of elements and you can remember and track it out. I still don't understand Tenet. All right, I'll sit here and I'll pretend I do, and I'll try to be cool, with all the cool cinephiles sitting there being like, well, did you know that the film is both frontwards and backwards? That should probably, I don't know, the bullets come out of the walls in backwards reverse. That was cool. Inception was fun. I like that one. They're all great. If we're being honest, it's pretty rare just to have a filmmaker be this consistent for this long. Not to mention take huge amounts of money, like very, very big budget films, to make, for the most part, pretty original art. Like usually he does that thing where it's like, I don't want to just have all of these people in a green screen, talking to tennis balls on strings. I don't want to have a whole bunch of people pretending to be acting in front of an LED panel that has a simulation of the creature behind them. It's like, I want to build the Cyclops. I want to make a monster. I want to hire people who happen to be 7 foot and 8 foot tall in length to be able to really just show something that is jaw-dropping on screen and take people away, because they're paying $20 a ticket to see these movies, and if they're paying $20 a ticket to see these movies, well, god damn it, we better fucking deliver, and I'm going to show them things they've never seen before. It's going to be a spectacle. There's going to be a plane that is actually really flying in air that we're going to then disconnect and suspend from strings so that it dangles down from another plane, as we have people on, belts scroll. The practical effects, you got to admit, it's something about it where you're just like, that really happened, and you made that happen. That's neat, okay? Just bona fide spectacles is what the Christopher Nolan productions, they deliver. And it's for that reason that a lot of people, he's very popular for a reason. We're talking about in the same way that a lot of the highest operating artists in all categories of music are, you're going to have a fan base that is so massive that it will include chuds. You get to a certain point, right? Does it not weird you out sometimes to find out how many fucked up people love Rage Against the Machine? And you're like, did you not listen to the songs, or did you not, like, have you not heard a single lyric of any of the tracks? Actually, really, there's not really one that you could just take and be like, yeah, there's nothing to see here, no politique in that Rage track, you know, or the fact that the Manosphere loves the Matrix and absolutely adores fucking and adopting red pill fucking ideology and all this other stuff from a series that was written by 2 trans women. It's just like, it's so wild sometimes, but it is the thing that happens. This one was particularly interesting because we are now living through what is considered to be the end of wokeness. You see, wokeness as the right have basically bastardized the term and co-opted it and turned it into their own monstrosity, as they are wont to do, stealing it from black people, taking the word from AAVE, and then changing it completely from its original meaning to be aware of the oppression of other groups or people, and then taking that to mean thing I don't like. And usually it starts with like N-words, but moves on to other slurs and categories they hate, F slurs, you know, like you name it. If this movie has a trans person, if this movie was written by a woman, if this movie has women in positions of any kind of power, executive producers, etc., if this movie has a message that involves a character who happens to be gay, but that's not bad, or it's not played for laughs, or it's not just the butt of the joke, it's not just the be-all end-all, it's just not just like, hey, by the way, you better be a gay stereotype, and that's it. Or if you're a woman in a movie and you're anything other than sex doll, right? Like if it's like, oh, what do you play? Big-breasted sex doll, yes, who you will want to have sex with throughout the course of the film because of my large breasts. Yep, that's only purpose you serve. I can't wait to see your role. You were great in that other thing when you also played big-breasted sex doll with giant breasts and whom I wanted to suck. Yes, that was fantastic. Great work. If there's a black person in it, in any capacity, really, other than like, you know, a villain maybe, or Samuel Jackson playing a series of characters. Other than that, there's not really a lot of high tolerance for a black person in prominent role or hero, or in character that used to be played by white person. Ooh, wow. Do they hate that more than anything? That is just fucking culture war gold. You can just print cash. I mean, no one is happier than this entire fucking right-wing griftosphere to see a prominent white role being played by a black person than them. Oh god, as soon as it happens, it's just like Christmas comes early. Oh my god, the Little Mermaid trailer came out. Are you serious? It's gonna be a black woman? Thank fuck. Thank fuck. I gotta tell you, because we're redoing the roof this year. I was worried. Yeah, I was genuinely concerned. How was I gonna pay for that shit? But damn, that's awesome. All right, well, yeah, excuse me as I get ready to be outraged. Yeah, I know, this is really tearing me up inside. Oh god, you have no idea how hard this is for me. A children's movie, yeah, based on a cartoon. Yeah, I'm gonna get so mad about this. Just, no, I'll make it real. Just wait, okay. They are laughing at us, spitting in our face, trying to defy us, making this think that we do not see with our own eyes. I see what I see before me. I see it. They're trying to make us accept the woke. That's why they put the woke in the movies. They put the woke Jedis, the woke Sith. You know what I mean by the woke, right? Why is there a woke Sith Lord? Because the woke are typically lazy people who can't get jobs and don't want to stay on as fathers, so don't really understand how they'd have the dedication to really climb the ranks to become one of these powerful, if you know what I'm saying. That kind of shit. That stuff, right? And for a while, it really seemed like this was just going to be this perpetual thing of, hey, by the way, normal people don't really care when fictional creatures, such as mermaids, elves, orcs, you know, hobbits, if they're portrayed by people with a little melanin. Does not take me out of the experience. I am not suddenly, oh my god, I no longer can believe that these orcs are truly orcs unless they're played by a certain type of people, if you know what I'm saying, kind of stuff, right? I thought that was just going to be a thing where there's always going to be a couple of, you know, immature man babies who are going to try and grift and get their cash by saying this movie is the worst because it's got a black person or trans man in the film, so we gotta hate it. And I guess this was supposed to be their zenith, right? Their grandstand, their final battle. This was it. It doesn't really get any more peak than this because there's going to be two major things happening here. One of their favorite film directors, as it is many people's favorite film director, because he is one of the most successful film directors of all time in human history, so it makes sense that he would have a lot of fans of all kinds. He has anarchist fans, communist fans, fascist fans, right-wing fans, libertarian fans, liberal fans. Of course he does, because again, he's one of the most popular filmmakers of all time. So this was going to be a very big moment. Oh, Christopher Nolan's coming out with a big epic. Apparently he's done the biggest and the highest of all crimes. Not only did he make what should be a white woman, a white Greek woman, a black woman, but that this character is supposed to be the most beautiful woman in human history. Define the very standards of beauty that the white supremacists had set up all along. This was supposed to be the woman that launches 1,000 ships. I know the line from the Troy trailer, the Brad Pitt one. Yeah, everyone is now showing me and reminding me of that movie over and over. I love that it's like, that's really what a lot of the people who are so upset about this are using as their kind of like, I defy you, Mr. Christopher Nolan. I have a perfect Troy film already that I can watch. Okay, then go watch it and shut the fuck up. All of you just shut the fuck up. My God, you're all so annoying. Shut the fuck up. None of you know what you're talking about. I didn't even remember a lot of like the plot of the, like, you know, the original Odyssey. I was like, well, I'm gonna have to reread the Odyssey before I get into this, because obviously a whole bunch of people are gonna be losing their shit. No, you don't even need to go that far, because I like at one point I got a viral post about this because they were posting pictures of the horse, the Trojan horse, and they were just like, look what they took from you, and then it's like, you know, white Helen of Troy, black Helen of Troy, horse from the original movie, horse from this movie. And I was like, I get that you're racist, and that's why you're really, really upset about the casting decision here, but what the fuck did the horse do? I'm sorry. Is it just the quality of the horse? Is it the horse, like the assemblyman? Again, one of those things, like, I have to look this up. Was the horse actually made from shipwreck pieces or blah, blah, blah? No, they're wrong. Why are they so mad about this? Wait, why are they getting upset about this? They're saying that this whole film isn't historically accurate. That's what they're pissed off about, because the armor is not historically accurate, so therefore the film, therefore only Greek people should be in this movie. Wait, what? This movie has sirens. It had Cyclops. It had giants. These aren't real things. They're not real things in the real world. Are we really? We're doing this again. We're getting very, very big mad about fictional creatures in a movie. You could not watch the movie, or you could also admit that you don't actually really care about these realms of fantasy and make-believe. It's not real history. It's mythology, and mythology can be changed. It's kind of the point. You can create the myth. We are myth makers, storytellers, all of us. We are able to reinterpret and change and tell the stories many a time. And we'll continue to do so. Unfortunately, for people who get really upset about this. But that's just kind of how this whole thing happens. And people are getting so mad because they were like, it's just not fair, okay? Like, if I remember my Brad Pitt Troy movie correctly, Achilles was like the greatest warrior of all time, and no one could defeat him for any reason because he was just so goddamn fucking hot, I think. That's how that worked, right? I don't know, but he was so beautiful that to look upon him, you didn't want to hurt him because no, that's not it. What was it? Oh, right, the Achilles heel. If you got the thing scratch, right? Yeah, then you take him out. So yeah, not historically accurate, because in this it's played by a trans man, all right, and that's just because the movie was woke, and because the movie tried to go woke, tried to make Achilles. That's not true. You are wrong, just categorically and empirically, right? Because you're choosing a different character who is not playing. Are you talking about Elliot Page? Elliot Page doesn't play Achilles in the movie. Why are you all saying that? Why are you getting mad about a thing that isn't real? I haven't seen the film, but Elliot Page is only in the movie for like 2 minutes. There are 3 minutes maybe of screen time. Like, someone actually... You got lied to / the same people who were lying to you had a financial incentive to keep amplifying the hatred and the anger because they're all racists and transphobes, and this shit is still on some level, on some degree, working for some of them, right? Like, on some level, some of them, I guess, are still making 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 views if they just show you a trailer like this and be like, fucking hell, the fucking thing went woke, look at it, woke and woke and woke, or woke and woke, and then they woked out where the wokage, and here's more woke and fucking woke. It works. Some people that apparently get angry about that. One of those people is none other than Ben Shapiro. Now, I haven't seen it, folks, the time has come. So I'm not gonna get him to spoil the movie for all of you who haven't seen it. I haven't seen it too. No spoilers. No spoilers. No spoilers and no politique. No spoilers or politique, all right? But I did see clips of Ben Shapiro. He loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, he was blown away. As were a lot of conservatives, actually. Kevin Sorbo, just going off about it. What a triumph. Yeah. Kind of wild that a lot of people are so excited about this film. It's almost as if, you know, they judged the film before they had seen it, and Christopher Nolan, with the history of making good movies, probably made another good movie. What I thought was going to happen, right?
We are going to review the Odyssey. I saw it in IMAX, and I have many, many thoughts. This video is sponsored by my friends over at PDS Dev.
Oh my god. Sorry, you're starting with AI footage of you? This is more offensive than anything that, you know, the studio tried to put out there. What are we doing here?
Alrighty, so I want to begin with the overall. On a scale 1 to 10, where does this movie lie? Somewhere for me between an 8.5 and a 9. It's
Whoa! Whoa! Total cultural victory. Ben Shapiro has been defeated. Not only defeated, slayed, all right? The evil is defeated. I don't know if you're aware of this, but in the posts, as well as in this video, he refuses to dead name Elliot Page. Also, doesn't misgender him. He does, you know, obviously talk about how he wishes that he wasn't in the film and that Elliot, you know, wasn't cast at all and all that kind of stuff. And for the people who were like, well, why was Elliot Page cast? Elliot Page has been in Christopher Nolan films as long as Christopher Nolan has been making films. He actually loves a lot of the same actors and keeps using them in like a lot of his projects. It's kind of one of those things. Like that's like asking, you know, well, I'm more surprised that Tom Hardy wasn't in this movie. Someone's gonna be like, Tom Hardy is in the movie. Is Tom Hardy in the movie? Does he play like a nymph or something? Is he just randomly in the film? Because it's just one of those directors that likes to do that. He has a cast of people who he likes to continuously work with, and he happens to be one of the very few directors who can do that. Like every director would love to be like, for this movie, I would like to work with Leo, maybe De Niro, maybe, you know, if we could get blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, that's how Scorsese, I assume, just talks about films, right? Like he doesn't have to worry about whether or not people want to work with him. They're just falling over each other to work on the films. Yeah, so the same thing with Christopher Nolan, and a lot of Christopher Nolan and his early cast members that he's been working with since he started making movies, he's been also reusing a lot of his films because he likes working with them, and he likes, I'm sure, writing, because he's one of the few people who can do this, writing roles for people, where when he is typing the script in his head, he is visually picturing those actors in that role, because he knows if he wants to, he can be like, hey, by the way, do you want to be in this role? And they're like, yeah, sure, yeah, of course. I mean, you're Christopher Nolan, sir.
Really, really, really good. It's a terrific movie. And believe you me, I'm going to get into all of the politics specifically regarding the casting and some of the sort of stones in the shoe when it comes to this movie. There are certain flaws in the movie that feel enormous, truly, to the viewer. They feel big. It feels like a sort of chip in your tooth, where everybody else looks at your tooth and they're like, there's nothing wrong with your tooth. And then you feel it with your tongue, you're like, oh my gosh, there's like a canyon in my tooth. Well, there's some of those things in the film, and I'll get to those things. Some of them are things that you've probably been thinking about, some of them not as much. But overall, the movie is, Nolan's great at what he does. I mean, the movie is a masterpiece. It is. Now, it doesn't hew into...
So this part's lovely. I love this part. This part feels nice. All right, we all get to sit back and enjoy that sweet, yeah, a fucking course. Like I this is one of those things where I felt zero necessity to try and help out, like fight some kind of battle on the behalf of a multi-million-dollar film project. Yeah, it surprises me not that once again this happens to be an epic, a masterpiece. It's like, oh, who could have seen this coming? Well, a rare triumph for an otherwise, you know, uneven director. It was more just like, why in the fuck did the majority of the right think that this was going to be their complete and total cultural victory? You bet on the wrong horse. The Odyssey had the biggest preview screening of 2026. The Odyssey had the biggest R-rating opening of 2026. The Odyssey had the biggest R-rating opening in Universal Pictures history. It had the best opening weekend for a Sword and Scandals epic ever. The Odyssey had the biggest opening weekend for Matt fucking Damon. This is the biggest opening ever. It's the biggest opening weekend for a live action film in 2026. The biggest worldwide opening for a Christopher Nolan film ever. Wow. Right. Yeah, that's just a shocker. Absolute shocker. Not to mention, like, I'm sorry, they got so mad about the cast. Did you not realize how stacked this fucking cast was? Like, you were up against such insurmountable odds here. Odds that are very, very difficult. The right tried and has failed in embarrassing, spectacular fashion. And we should laugh at them, honestly, in perpetuity for that. Because again, it's just like a certain amount of standards should be in place. This is why I want to use this entire thing as an example, because we did talk about woke and woke 1 and woke 2 and the bastardization of black people's language by white people. And even right now, I'm guilty of doing just that, right? Because I know I'm sure a lot of black people, they hate hearing white people use these terms and use them incorrectly, even if you're trying to use them incorrectly to try and call out other people using them incorrectly. And right now there's this broad, like, wide adoption of these terms, especially woke 1 and woke 2. Woke 1 was basically performative, all right? It was kind of like a Justin Trudeau, Katy Perry kind of style of, like, you know, I'm going to change my avatar in my social media account. I'm going to go to one rally, but just for the gram, take a picture of it, like, Black Lives Matter for life, y'all. And I was just there for like 5 minutes and I went home, that kind of stuff. You know, I'm going to talk about how, yeah, you know, reparations, I think are a just thing. I'm never going to advocate for them really in any kind of capacity so that it actually happens and try to pass legislation or work with politicians to do that. It's not my fight. But if someone else fights for it and wins, I mean, hell yeah, right? Woke. Yeah, I am woke up. Yeah, you can trust me. I'm one of the good ones. There we go. Whereas woke 2.2 or 2.3, 2.5, 3? I don't know where we're at yet. But the idea now being is that the trivial performative identity politics of, you know, simply trying to overtly for others say, hey, by the way, I care about something, but not actually do anything to change that thing or to work on helping that thing, right? That needs to end. And I think we all kind of agree on that. And there's not really a point, right? Like, it just turns into this endless, pointless circular firing squad of trying to be like, well, that person, you know, isn't in any way, you know, supporting the cause publicly on their social media. So can I really care for them? You can really see how this played out in this situation, because I don't know if you all saw recently, there was a lot of people calling for a boycott of Boots Riley's latest film. I Love Boosters, specifically because he had produced that film with Elevation Pictures, which is owned by Larry Ellison, effectively making a film by Larry Ellison, a man who's an overt and open Zionist, who wanted to then, you know, promote the film and do a tour of the film and go on numerous, you know, leftist and progressive spaces, podcasts, etc. And the director of that film, Boots Riley, happens to be an overt communist slash supporter of emancipation slash supporter of land back emancipatory efforts. There is no question about what his politics are whatsoever. In the case of Christopher Nolan, I have no fucking clue. I assume libbed up Hollywood type at best, maybe, right? Like maybe shows up for a like occasional fundraiser style thing, or you should vote, stuff like that. But I don't really consider him to be at the front lines of, say, you know, the Free Palestine movement or anything like that. And guess what? Also, to be clear, he doesn't have to be. Not every single person needs to be a 24/7, you know, vanguard advocate for every single cause at every single point. I'm not saying that. This is not the point I'm trying to put here. But I did notice a lot of the same people who were basically saying, hey, none of you should be supporting I Love Boosters or supporting Boots Riley. It's disgusting what he's done. Those same people weren't really talking about the Odyssey or have been made multiple videos on the Odyssey, something that I would argue has a much wider, larger release if it was something that you wanted to call attention to. And you might be asking why at the end of the day. It was a film that people have asked for other people to show solidarity and boycotting. And also shocked me to find out, like, why? There are so many other places you could have filmed. And it's like, well, if you want to have more control over the film, I would still argue you can do that and succeed at that, and you can have control over a project without needing it to be filmed in occupied territory, especially where there are human rights violations going on. Like, so you could have, more and more ability to be able to film angles that didn't have anything in the background. It's like, you could find that in other parts of the world. You could also take that out in post, right?
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gun.
Oh, apparently I cannot do that.
This is demanding a boycott. Earlier this month, they held a protest during the London premiere of the Odyssey.
Free, free Sahara! Free Sahara! Thank you. Shame! Free Sahara! Free Sahara!
For more, we're joined by...
I'm boycotting the movie because of that. Not that I can afford to go to the cinema anyways. You're not a bad person if you went and watched it this weekend and you had no idea about this, and then all of a sudden it's just like, well, you participated directly and this blood is on your hands. I brought you all here now for you to atone. Now, all of you, bring out your cat o' nine tails and we must atone together. That's not it. It's that we should recognize this because going forward, hey, first off, there's a lot of ways to watch a movie. You have to see this movie. It's really big. You want to see it right away. There are other ways to see movies. I just got to say, hey, if a friend was showing you a movie, you didn't pay to go see that movie. That friend just showed it to you and you were at their house and you watched the movie. That's all I'm saying, right? Like there are other ways to watch a movie legally that you could do that don't involve necessarily you supporting something that you have moral qualms about. But it's not that. It's that this is something that people should have been bringing attention to a long time ago rather than focusing on what did we focus on primarily and exclusively on the right-wing discourse surrounding their racism and their transphobia, which is fucked up and should be called out. Fuck those racists, fuck those transphobes, absolutely. But we can't also pat ourselves on the back for having done that, and the movie also being a monstrously huge financial success, and then just ignore this. Because this is kind of the equivalent of, like, you know, putting rainbow flags on the same bombs that we drop on other nations and then, you know, act surprised when those nations are like, y'all are, you know, disgusting imperialists. Even you lefties in your own core who are, like, you know, saying that you care about these kind of issues, you can't even be bothered to not go to Starbucks for a day or not get some chicken nuggies at a really shitty fucking McDonald's that you know is really subpar, and there's better food in your area, there's better coffee, there's better burgers, but y'all can't even do that. And then you take pride in calling each other out and making TikTok videos for like, fuck you, I'm having my Starbucks now, stuff like that. That versus like you can't even like skip going to see some big movie you want to see while there are people who are actively being bombed in the areas where that movie was filmed, that like in the world's second largest, I think, wall after the Great Wall of China is along that border, where there are thousands of landmines, not to mention over 100,000 Moroccan military personnel actively guarding it at all times. Like to decide to choose actively of all the places in the world to film there, that's pretty fucked up. Oh, sorry, millions of landmines. Oh, I'm even wrong about that. Millions of landmines. Yeah. There is no ethical consumerism under capitalism. I hate the no fun left. I want to be completely clear about that. People who are just like, you should just never watch that ever. And you're like, but why? Like, wait, I'm not going to enjoy a video game I've loved for like 30 years because we just found out that the artist who worked on one of the characters was a huge piece of shit. I can call out him for being a huge piece of shit, and that sucks, but like, I'm still going to play that old game, right? Like, it's kind of like the same thing with this no sports left, right? Like, you shouldn't enjoy sports. Cool. Well, easy way to get disconnected from like the majority of the working class internationally. Like, even some of the very poorest people that you advocate for, they love football. They love it. In those poor countries that we are bombing, holy fuck do they love football. For me to sit here and be like, if you like football, if you watch football, you are the great Satan. You are a bad person. Shame on you. If you at any point during the last little while cheered for team, you're participating in the capitalist exploitation. Like, no, this is clown shoes. We were all born into this world. I didn't choose to have this nightmare thrust upon everyone. And so while participating in the system, yeah, we can make some choices. One of them can definitely be, hey, by the way, yeah, it's fucked up that, like, you know, a whole bunch of right-wingers are going to continue to be racist men children and piss themselves because black people are in films or trans people exist. Like, that's going to happen. And those same people are going to do that for a movie that was just undeniably going to be one of the biggest commercial successes in the history of cinema because of both the director of the project, who's attached to it, everything about this. It just, again, this is why I'm trying to say, like, if Yimbys are the ones trying to advocate for more housing, or a housing project to go up to be able to build supportive housing, I'm like, those Yimbys are doing good work in that moment in time. That's energy and effort where they are already handling this. When it comes to Christopher Nolan being a success, he's a success whether or not I go and buy my tickets, right? I think it's also important to be like, yeah, but Javier Bardem was right. They shouldn't have filmed here, and it's all right to call that out. It's all right to do that, because the next project that might be filming or doing location scouting right now that is actively thinking of, should I film there? Is it okay? That was that was not okay. People did not like that. That was a bad thing. And yeah, that you could do the same film and get the same shot at an infinite amount of locations around the world without having to participate in this gross shit, right? Hello friends, there's some really exciting changes coming to the channel that I wanted to explain quickly, as we've had a couple of questions as to what exactly is going on. First and foremost, I want to tell you all thank you so much for supporting the Serfs up until this point, and it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's only becoming
better and more powerful.
If you didn't know, for some time now, YouTube has been effectively demonetizing nearly almost every single video that we upload for a variety of different reasons. Sometimes it's because I use the word queer, but other times it happens to be because we talk about things like genocide and anti-colonial activities. And it's getting to the point now where we want to create a more dependable revenue stream that isn't dependent entirely on whether or not the YouTube gods on any given day decide to censor the word. It's for that reason that I'm starting to create a lot of exclusive content directly for patreon.com/theserfs, which you not only can go and watch by going to this website, it does help put food on the table at a time right now when I'm trying to become a trad husband and father, but more important that my content is not censored, especially when I want to talk about a variety of very important topics. So if you head on down to patreon.com/theserfs, you can check out the brand new series Why Everything Sucks, and also get one of the first versions of the brand new
Joe Rogan Extraordinaire Mothership Takedown documentary.
It wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on screen. It especially wouldn't be without the incredible support of all these legends. Political Puppy, Multimondi, Riley and Anna, Omni, Quiet 185, Tigwick, Stellar Gwyn, Doug Caddy, Hagbard Celine, Everything Important, Words Greenwood, Sebastian Demo, Roller Dragon, Period, Bobby Lasers, Addercap, Soulcar, Council of Anthony's,